Good morning, traders. This is a live trade recap. I took a few trades this morning. I have them all on video. We're going to go over everything right now. There was a few unusual things that happened during these trades, so make sure you watch because I've added some really scenarios to my trading plan so that the next time these things happen, I know exactly what to do without question. So as always, if you'd like to become a member of the trading group, just go to the YouTube Trading Armor homepage, click on the little Facebook icon, become a member. Everything's completely free. This is just an easy, convenient way for me to share my files with whoever wants them. If you click on files, you can download the trade tracking spreadsheet, the 2R calculator, even my trading plan. All right, let's get to the trades. So as always, I start with Webull, open on the markets tab, click on top gainers, pre-market, click on all, organized by volume. Right now it's almost market open time, but I was trading between 4 and 4:30 a.m. Eastern. Sklz was in the top three, so what I'm interested in is the top three stocks organized by volume, because volume is a very strong indicator that whatever price movement is happening will continue on. So that's why I'm looking at those, and I'm only interested in about 110 million share float size or less, unless it's the number one stock. It could be 500 million share float size, and I'll still look at it. But if it gets in the billions or something like that, then it's not worth it because it won't move very much. All right, let's take a look at the trades. So here I have Sklz. This is marking out the high of the previous session. So as soon as the price breaks through that, then I have to look for a trade, and that's what's happened now. It's broken through, and now I'm just waiting for this pullback to finish and a 1 minute candle to make a new high to trigger my entry. Same thing on GSX. This was actually the high of the aftermarket. This is just marking out kind of the breaking point of the ABCD pattern. If the price continues down below that before I get triggered, then I can't look for an entry. So that's why that red line is there, and later on I'll move that up to use as my stop loss. Okay, so this is the first weird thing that happened. So you can see that I missed my entry on this by a few seconds, but my plan says I still have to enter anyway as long as it hasn't hit my stop. But what happened was the high of this candle is $30.60. So as soon as this one breaks that, so 30.61 or more, I have to get in. You can see that the high of that candle is 30.62. So on that topping tail, it broke through and I missed the entry by a few seconds. But I enter a few seconds late, but it's okay because I still have, you know, all of this space right here is 1R, and then 2 times that will be my 2R profit target. Either way, this was a super low risk and low reward trade. But the interesting thing was that notice that wick disappeared. So now I'm thinking, uh-oh, maybe I got duped into this trade. This was a glitch or something like that. And I wasn't sure what to do because my plan didn't have anything in it to tell me what to do at that time. So I just decided a few seconds later to get out of the trade, and that's what I did. And I got filled at 30.41. So small loss, you know, not really a meaningful loss or anything. But really what is important here is what do I do the next time? Because here's what happened a little bit later. So watch this chart continue to play out. This is the candle that made me enter. And remember, it had that topping tail. Now watch as this candle forms, starts to form, there, that topping tail comes right back. So it was really there the whole time, and for whatever reason, you know, the chart glitched, but my entry was legitimate, and I should have just stayed in the trade until it either hit my stop loss or my profit target. So that's basically what I added to my plan, is that if something like that happens again, that I should just assume that it was a legitimate entry and just stay in until either my target or my stop loss gets hit. Because you're going to see what happens next is also by my plan, I have to re-enter the trade on the next entry signal. So as soon as the 1 minute candle makes a new high. So there I get triggered to enter again, and I'm filled at 30.51, and I made the stop loss where the original one would be, to try to kind of mimic, you know, if I just stayed in that trade. So now I'm just waiting for the Sklz to trigger an entry. Every single one of these candles had a top at 1750. So they need to break that level before I can get in. But this is such an expensive stock, and the range of these candles, look at this one, is only 1 cent. So let's just pretend that the next candle makes a new high. My profit target would only be 2 cents above my entry, which is ridiculous. it doesn't make sense to take a trade like that. So what I decided to do, and again, this wasn't so much in my plan, but it is now, because I haven't really seen anything like this before since I've been trading this plan, although it does happen, is I decided to make my stop loss the low of this consolidation area. And I'll show you how I kind of wrote that into my plan after we're done going over these trades. SEAC also popped up on the top 3 at this point, so I'm also looking for an entry here. So this will be, if I get into these 2 stocks, SKLZ and SEAC, combine that with GSX, that's my 3 trades. I didn't count that first one. Again, I have something in the plan now that addresses that, and I'll show you all of that stuff at the end. It's very important to have all this stuff well defined so you know exactly what you're doing and you know if you're following your plan or not, because it's extremely important to be prepared for every possible scenario. So right now I actually get triggered at the same time on both of these stocks, because this one made a new high, this one made a new high. So I get into SKLZ, and then as soon as I can, I click over here. Whichever chart you're clicked on, that's where your hotkeys work. I got in on that one. Again, you can only do this with your hotkeys because you see how quickly that happened. There's no way you're going to enter that stuff into your trade widget and get filled in time. My cat's making funny noises in the background there. All right, so I'm in this SKLZ trade, and I put my stop loss at the low of that consolidation area. Actually, it's 1 cent lower than that. So now I'm using the 2-hour calculator. I entered it in 1 cent off originally, so the actual target is 17.80, but I kind of realized that right away, and I moved it up to 17.80. Now, this is another weird thing that happened, is because this is such a cheap stock, you're getting filled sometimes at fractions of a cent. So I got filled at 119.2. When I put that into my 2-hour calculator, it returns 125.6 target. But I go to put that into the trade widget, and of course, you get an error. Let's see, I missed the error. There. When the price exceeds $1, price increments should be in 1/10 of a cent, even though you can get filled at fractions of a cent. So I had to decide what I was going to do. So what I decided to do was to round down, since this is so close to 119. I changed the entry to 119, and then that gave me a profit target of 125. So originally I put it at 126, but then when I rounded down on the 2-hour calculator, there's my real target, 125. So I pulled this down, but the price was moving up as I was doing it. So I got filled immediately, and I would have gotten filled at 126, but that would have been pure luck anyway if that happened. So now I'm just waiting for the, that trade is done. That was a good 2-hour trade. I'm waiting for SKLZ to finish. Now, once I'm in a trade, I have to let it play out. Either it hits my stop or my target. No in-betweens, no scaling out, no getting out early, none of that stuff. So that's what I'm doing right now, is just getting prepared for that. Fast forwarding here. Okay, so it just hit just 1 cent below my target, and now we're going to watch it play out in real time, because I want you to imagine if you were in this trade, what would you do? Would you get scared thinking that, oh my gosh, it almost hit my target and now it's pulling back, maybe I should just pull this down, or would you wait? Is that something that a lot of new traders struggled with, including myself? In the beginning, I didn't have the patience to let it come back up, or I was afraid it was going to come back down and hit my stop. But after tracking all the data, it just showed that every time I do that, I end up losing money overall, because more often than not, they will come back and hit the target. And the rare occasion they get that close and come all the way back down and stop you out. So here I'm just holding strong, waiting for it to hit 1780. This is playing out in real time now. Still bouncing just below that 1780 level. There, finally get filled. So the patience paid off, and usually does when you follow your rules, your strategy, and your plan. And even if it doesn't, even if it did bounce off that level and stop me out, hey, at least I did what I was supposed to, and you can feel good about that. So I know I would have felt pretty lame if I pulled it down a few cents to get filled and then saw it hit my target, not only because you're leaving money on the table, but because you didn't follow your plan and your strategy. So let's take a look at the spreadsheet real quick, and then we'll look at the plan. So you can see small green day, but a green day nonetheless. All of those trades were very low risk, and that's why it's such a small green day. Plus, I'm trading with a small cash account here, and I'm only trading with 10% of my position, or 10% of my account on my each position size. So right now it's about $68. So that first trade, I actually combined those first two GSX trade together just for simplicity's sake, because they were such small losses anyway. That first loss was maybe like 6 cents or something, so I just added that into there. And then Sklz, that was the second trade, and that was that, kind of high dollar stock that I was debating, whether or not to make the stop loss the low of the previous candle, but that didn't make sense, so I moved it to the low of the consolidation area, and still it only yielded 76 cents profit. So it's a good thing I didn't use the low of the previous candle, and I'll show you how I've adjusted my plan for if that happens in the future. Then SEAC, that was the big winner of the day at 317, but considering the cost of the trade, and it was very low risk, 2.7%. The return was about almost 5%, so it was a good return on investment. And we're still a little bit red on the week, 194, but this has been a crazy month. The trading has been terrible this month, worst I've ever seen since I started trading a year ago. So I'm just happy that we're kind of treading water here. I am down overall on the month, $43, but I'm still pretty far away from even breaking even after the best month of my trading, which was last month. So it's pretty impressive that with all of this all these red trades, my win rate is only 22%. I still haven't given back my profits for the year yet, and I hope not that I don't. But the point I'm trying to make is that earlier on in my career, and I know many new traders, you'll work very hard to have a green month, and then in one single trade the following month, you get back all your profits. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that if you have a good plan and you trade it, the other thing is that you follow the plan, you trade it very strictly, you take all of your stops when they get hit. That will save you from giving back all your trades on one trade or two trades or whatever. So I have all these red trades. I still have not given back all my profits yet. All right, so now let's take a look at the trading plan, and then we'll be done. So I just highlighted them in green so I don't get lost on this page because there's a few. So this is kind of based off of what happened in that GSX trade. If your entry gets triggered, hit your hotkeys no matter what, even if price comes down as you're triggering the hotkeys, as long as it hasn't hit your stop loss price. We went over that. This gets very detailed and specific, and that's because things happen in a very unique and specific way sometimes when you're trading, like you saw today, and it was such a weird occurrence that I didn't really know what to do. So I wrote out a very detailed passage here, even if you were a second late to trigger because you're looking at the screener or something like that. As soon as you see that you were triggered, you must enter as long as the price is still between your stop and your target. So kind of weird, but it's very detailed. That way, when it happens again, which it inevitably will, I'm going to know exactly what to do without question. And that's really what you want your trading plan to do, is to tell you what to do in every single possible scenario. So let's look at the next thing right here. This is kind of still along the lines of that GSX trade. If your entry gets triggered by what appears to be a chart glitch, that was that topping tail thing, and you enter as you are supposed to, right? Because my plan says I have to enter if I see the top of the previous candle get broken. Stay in the trade as long as your stop hasn't been hit. So that's what I didn't do today because this wasn't here yet. I got kind of worried that I got faked into the trade and got out. So like I said, it's most likely not a glitch. You saw that topping tail reappear a few moments later. And then if I do get stopped out, that still counts as one of my 3 trades, even if it was a glitch. So that's just to keep me a little bit more structured, because my plan says that my max trades are 3 a day. But since that was kind of a weird occurrence, I in the moment, I kind of said, you know what, that's a glitch, doesn't count. And that's not a good thing. So I wrote this again very specifically so that if something like that happens again, if I don't, I mean, obviously now I won't stop out of it, but you need redundancy in your plan. So that's why that's here. Just kind of if something along those lines happens again and I exit the trade, I have to count that as a trade. All right, so last one, then we'll be done, I promise. If a stock makes a good ABCD pattern, but then consolidates very tightly. So this is pertaining to that, what was it, SKLZ trade or SKLX? Let's look at the spreadsheet real quick because I forget now the ticker symbol. Yeah, SKLZ. So this way, if you want to go back in the video and see, if a stock makes a good ABCD pattern but then consolidates very tightly, this is just like a rough little thing. I need to define this better, but for now, within 5 cents or so, like you saw on SKLZ, you can make your stop loss the bottom of that consolidation, and the entry will be the break of that consolidation. So that's also very specific. And I'll probably put like a copy and paste a picture of that chart just so I have a reference of exactly what I'm talking about and what to look for in the future, because that sort of thing doesn't happen very often. So that's it. Hopefully this was helpful. I know it was a lot, but I think it's important to go over all of these details because these are the real things that you run into when you're trading that nobody tells you about. And when they happen to you, you're kind of like, what do I do? And, you know, things can go south really fast if you don't have a good plan and you're prepared for anything that could happen. So that's what this is all about. Ideally, any situation that happens, I have something for in my plan and I know what to do. That's what the goal of the trading plan is. So anyway, as always take your stop losses no matter what, honor your profit targets, and in the long run, you should be green. Take care.